Captain Ta Kim stood alone on the observation deck of the UES Phoenix. The small warship hung in Earth orbit, its hull gleaming under the harsh lights of the nearby space dock. He pressed his hand against the cold glass and sighed. Today should have been a proud moment, the launch of his life's work. Instead, it felt more like a funeral. "Captain," a voice called from behind him. "They're waiting for you on the bridge." Tay turned to see his first officer, Commander Sun Park. Sun was young for his rank, only 35, but already showing signs of becoming a fine officer. Unlike most of the crew who had been assigned to the Phoenix as punishment or because they were seen as expendable, Sun had volunteered. "Tell them I'll be there shortly," Ta said. Sun nodded but didn't leave. "The crew is talking, sir, about what happened at the launching ceremony." Tay's jaw tightened. The memory of Admiral Jun's speech still burned in his mind. Asterisk, while other nations build true warships, we waste resources on Kim's toy boat. Asterisk, the Admiral had said, not bothering to hide his contempt. The other officers had laughed. Some had even applauded. "Let them talk," Ta said. "Soon they'll have something else to discuss." The bridge of the Phoenix was small compared to other ships in Earth's fleet, where the massive dreadnoughts like the UES Thunder and UES Mountain had bridges the size of banquet halls. The Phoenix's command center was tight, efficient, and oddly cozy. Every station was within arm's reach of the captain's chair. As Tai entered, the bridge crew stood at attention. "At ease," he said, settling into his chair. "Status report." Lieutenant Jai Han, his communications officer, spoke first. "All systems online, Captain. Admiral Song has sent our patrol route." She transferred the data to his screen with a flick of her finger. Tai frowned as he studied the assigned route. The Phoenix had been ordered to patrol the outer colonies, the quietest, most uneventful sector of human space. It was buswork, designed to keep them out of sight and out of mind. "Engineering reports the fold drive is ready for testing," Sun added from his station, though Chief Engineer Day still has concerns about the power consumption. Ta nodded. The fold drive was his design, a revolutionary new propulsion system that didn't just move through space like conventional engines, but actually folded it, bringing two distant points together temporarily. In theory, it would make the Phoenix faster and more maneuverable than any ship in the fleet. In theory. "Science Officer Lee," Todd called out. "What's your assessment?" Min Lee looked up from her console, pushing her glasses up her nose. "The simulations are promising, Captain, but there's a reason nobody's successfully built a fold drive before. The energy requirements are enormous, and the calculations must be perfect. One mistake could tear the ship apart. Or worse," Sun added quietly. Ta knew what Sun meant. The worst-case scenarios for a fold drive malfunction included creating a temporary black hole, being trapped between dimensions, or simply disappearing forever. But he believed in his calculations. "We'll conduct the first test once we're beyond the orbit of Mars," Ta decided. "Helm, take us out. Standard thrust until we clear Earth defense perimeter." As the Phoenix pulled away from the space dock, Ta couldn't help but admire how smoothly the ship moved. It might be small, only 120 meters from bow to stern, but it was sleek, agile, and packed with cutting-edge technology that the bigger ships couldn't accommodate due to their massive size and outdated design philosophies. The Phoenix wasn't just a ship. It was a statement, a bold claim that the future of space warfare wasn't about building bigger guns and thicker armor, but about mobility, stealth, and precision. Unfortunately, the Admiralty didn't see it that way. 8 hours later, the Phoenix had cleared Mars orbit and entered deep space. The bridge was quiet, the crew tense with anticipation. They all knew what was coming next. "All departments report readiness for fold drive test," Tide ordered. One by one, his officers confirmed their stations were prepared. Last was Chief Engineer Day, his weathered face appearing on the main screen. "Engineering is ready, Captain," Day reported. "But I must again advise caution. We should start with a very small fold, no more than a few kilometers. Noted, Chief, Tai replied. But the Admiralty expects results. If we want to prove the Phoenix's worth, we need to show them something spectacular. He turned to Min. Science officer, set coordinates for a fold to the asteroid belt. That's about half an astronomical unit from our current position. Min's eyes widened. Captain, that's much further than we've simulated for an initial test. The simulations were conservative by design, Tai explained. The fold drive can handle it. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what the captain was really saying. This wasn't just a test. It was their one chance to prove that the Phoenix deserved to be taken seriously. Coordinates set, Min finally said, her fingers dancing across her console. Fold calculations complete. Tai took a deep breath. Engage the fold drive. Commander Park. Sun hesitated for just a moment before pressing the activation sequence. Fold drive engage. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the stars outside the viewports began to stretch, as if someone had grabbed the fabric of space and pulled. The ship hummed with power, the lights flickering as the fold drive drew massive amounts of energy from the reactor. Power levels spiking, Day reported, his voice tight. Hull integrity holding. The stretching stars suddenly snapped together at a central point, like water down a drain. The Phoenix shuddered. Fold established, Min announced, her voice rising with excitement. Where? The ship lurched violently, throwing crew members against their stations. Alarms blared throughout the bridge. What's happening? Ta demanded, gripping his chair as the Phoenix continued to shake. Something's interfering with the fold, Min shouted over the noise. Some kind of spatial disturbance at the target coordinates. Tai's mind raced. There shouldn't be anything in the asteroid belt capable of disrupting a dimensional fold. Unless. Abort the fold, he ordered. Return us to normal space immediately. Sun's fingers flew across his controls. Aborting fold in 3, 2, 1. The universe seemed to snap back into place like a rubber band. The violent shaking stopped, replaced by an eerie stillness. Through the viewports, Ta could see the asteroid belt. They had reached their destination. But something else was there too. Captain, Je called, her voice barely a whisper. I'm detecting an unknown signal. It's massive. The main screen flickered to life, showing what looked like an enormous space station nestled among the asteroids. Its design was like nothing Tai had ever seen. Angular and alien, with strange protrusions that might have been weapons or sensors, or something else entirely. Are they responding to our hails? Tai asked. Ji shook her head. No, sir. But the signal is definitely coming from that structure. It appears to be some kind of automated beacon. It's not in any of our databases, Min added, scanning through the ship's records. This isn't human technology. The implications hit Ta like a physical blow. After centuries of space exploration, humanity had never encountered evidence of another intelligent species. If this structure was alien in origin, Captain, Sun said quietly, protocol dictates we report this to Fleet Command immediately. Ta nodded slowly. Send the report, encrypted channel. He paused, considering their options. But we're not leaving. Whatever this is, we found it. The Phoenix found it. As his crew hurried to carry out his orders, Ta stared at the alien structure on the screen. The Admiralty had laughed at his ship, called it a waste of resources, and exiled it to the farthest reaches of human space. Now the Phoenix had made the most important discovery in human history. Who was laughing now? 3 hours had passed since the Phoenix discovered the alien structure. The bridge crew worked in tense silence, gathering data and sending regular updates to Fleet Command. Captain Todd Kim hadn't left his chair once. Anything from Command? Tai asked, his eyes fixed on the main screen where the mysterious structure slowly rotated among the asteroids. Lieutenant Ji Han shook her head. Nothing yet, Captain. Our messages are being received, but they haven't responded. Commander Sun Park frowned. That's unusual. A discovery of this magnitude should have prompted an immediate response. They'd probably think we're making it up, Ta said with a bitter smile. The joke ship claiming first contact. Why would they believe us? Science Officer Minley looked up from her console. Captain, I've completed my initial analysis. The structure appears to be a space station of some kind, but it's dormant. Power readings are minimal. How long has it been here? Tai asked. Min adjusted her glasses. Based on the asteroid accumulation around its lower sections, I'd estimate at least 200 years, perhaps much longer. The bridge fell silent as the crew processed this information. An alien station had been hiding in their solar system for centuries, undetected until now. Should we move closer, Captain? Asked the helmsman, Officer Han. Before Tai could answer, Chi called out, Captain, I'm receiving a priority message from Admiral Song. The main screen split, showing the alien structure on one side and Admiral Song's stern face on the other. Unlike Admiral Jun, Song had always been fair to Tai, even if she didn't fully support his theories about ship design. Captain Kim, she said without preamble, we've received your reports about the alien structure. I'm ordering you to maintain distance and continue observation only. A science vessel is being dispatched to your location. ETA 48 hours. Tai leaned forward in his chair. Admiral, the Phoenix is equipped with the most advanced sensor suite in the fleet. We're already gathering valuable data, and you'll share that data with the science team when they arrive. Song replied firmly. Your ship wasn't designed for first contact scenarios, Captain. The Phoenix is a prototype, an untested weapons platform. We need experts to handle this situation. Tai felt his jaw tighten but forced himself to remain calm. With respect, Admiral, we are the only ship on site. If the station powers up or shows signs of activity, we need the authority to respond appropriately. Admiral Song considered this for a moment. Very well. You may continue passive scans, but under no circumstances are you to approach within 10,000 kilometers of the structure. And Captain, her voice softened slightly, this discovery will change everything. Don't do anything reckless. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence once more. Well, Sun said quietly. At least they believe us now. Ta nodded, but his mind was already racing ahead. 48 hours was a long time, and he had no intention of simply waiting around while some science vessel claimed credit for the Phoenix discovery. Min, he said, turning to his science officer, what would it take to wake that station up? Min's eyes widened. Captain, Admiral Song specifically ordered. I'm not suggesting we disobey orders, Tai interrupted. I'm simply asking a theoretical question. If that station has been dormant for centuries, what might activate it? Min hesitated, then sighed. Based on the energy patterns I'm detecting, it appears to be in a low-power standby mode. A sufficiently strong energy signature might trigger its automated systems. She paused. Like, for example, the energy released during a dimensional fold. Ta smiled. That's what I thought. The fold we created must have been what caught its attention in the first place. Captain, Sun mourned. I know that look. Whatever you're thinking. A sudden alarm cut him off. Ji's fingers flew across her console. Captain, the structure, it's activating. All eyes turned to the main screen. The alien station was coming alive, lights flickering on along its angular surface. Strange appendages that had been folded against its hull began to extend outward, like a spider stretching its legs. That's impossible, Min whispered, checking her readings. The power surge is massive. It's like the whole station just woke up. Are we in danger? Tai asked sharply. Min shook her head. I don't detect any weapons powering up, but it's definitely scanning us. Very thoroughly. Ji, open a channel, Tai ordered. All frequencies, all formats. Ji nodded and established the link. Channel open, Captain. Ta stood, straightening his uniform. This is Captain Ta Kim of the United Earth ship Phoenix. We are a peaceful vessel conducting exploration. We mean no harm and wish to establish communication. For several long seconds, there was no response. Then a sound filled the bridge, a strange, rhythmic series of clicks and whistles that made the hair on the back of Ty's neck stand up. Is that? Sun began. Language, Min confirmed, her voice filled with awe. They're responding in their native tongue. The alien sounds continued for nearly a minute, then stopped abruptly. A moment later, a deep metallic voice spoke in perfect, unaccented English. Human vessel, you have activated Outpost Sentinel-7. State your purpose. Tai exchanged shocked glances with his officers before responding. Our purpose is peaceful exploration. We discovered your outpost by accident and wish to learn more about you. Another pause. Scanning indicates your vessel utilizes dimensional folding technology. This is unexpected. Human technological development parameters have been exceeded. The implications of that statement sent a chill through the bridge. Parameters. Had they been watching humanity all this time? We've only recently developed this technology, Tai explained carefully. The Phoenix is our first ship equipped with a fold drive. Interesting, the metallic voice replied. Further communication is required. Prepare for visitor. Before anyone could respond, a section of the alien station began to glow with an intense blue light. A small object detached from the structure and accelerated toward the Phoenix. Captain, Sun exclaimed. It's launched something at us. Evasive maneuvers, the helmsman asked, his hand hovering over the controls. Tai hesitated, his instincts at war with his curiosity. No, hold position. Min, analysis. Min studied her readings intently. It's some kind of small craft. No detectable weapons, one life form aboard. She looked up, her eyes wide. It'll reach us in less than 30 seconds. They said to prepare for a visitor, Tai recalled. I think they're sending an envoy. Captain, Sun said urgently, Admiral Song ordered us not to make contact. This goes well beyond observation. Ta knew Sun was right, but this opportunity was too important to pass up. Sometimes, Commander, orders must be interpreted according to the situation at hand. We're making history here. The small alien craft slowed as it approached the Phoenix, coming to a stop just 50 meters from their hull. It was roughly spherical, with no visible windows or hatches, and about the size of a small shuttle. They're requesting docking access, Jai reported, sounding nervous. They already know our docking protocols. Another chill ran through the bridge. How much did these aliens know about humanity? Grant them access, Tai decided. Security team to docking bay 2. Full protective gear, but weapons holstered. Remember, this is a peaceful first contact. He turned to Sun. Commander, you have the bridge. I'll greet our visitor personally. Captain, Sun protested. Regulations state that the highest-ranking officer should represent humanity in first contact scenarios. Ta finished for him. I know the regulations, Commander. As Tai left the bridge, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and dread. The Phoenix had already made the most important discovery in human history. Now, they were about to become the first humans to meet an alien intelligence face to face. Whatever waited in that docking bay would change humanity forever. And it was the little warship everyone had laughed at that had made it possible. Captain Ta Kim stood rigidly in the docking bay, flanked by 4 security officers. The alien craft had attached itself to the Phoenix's hull, forming a perfect seal around the airlock. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, the inner door of the airlock began to open. Tay's hand instinctively moved toward his sidearm, then stopped. This was first contact. He needed to show trust. A figure stepped through the airlock. It was tall, at least 2 meters, and covered in what looked like dark blue armor. Its head was elongated and helmet-like, with no visible eyes or mouth, just a smooth, reflective surface where a face should be. Welcome aboard the Phoenix, Ta said, stepping forward. "I am Captain Ta Kim." The figure tilted its head slightly. "Your designation is noted, Captain Ta Kim." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, as if it were being projected directly into Ta's mind. "I am Observer Unit 359 of the Korten Collective. You may address me as Observer." Ta nodded, trying to hide his nervousness. "Observer, we're honored by your visit. I have many questions." "As do I," the Observer replied. "Your vessel's dimensional folding capability was unexpected. The Collective must reassess human technological advancement timelines. Something about the way the alien said this made Tai uneasy. You've been watching this. All developing species are monitored," the Observer stated matter-of-factly. "The Korten Collective oversees this sector of space. Your species was categorized as pre-contact until today." Tay's mind raced. An entire alien civilization had been monitoring humanity, and they'd had no idea. "I would like to examine your fold drive," the Observer continued, taking a step forward. One of the security officers tensed, but Tai raised a hand to keep him still. "I'm afraid our propulsion systems are classified. Perhaps we could discuss an exchange of information instead." The Observer was silent for a moment. "Non-compliance is noted. Alternative. I will inspect your bridge." Before Tai could respond, his communicator beeped. "Captain," Sun's voice came through, sounding tense. "We're detecting multiple large objects moving toward our position from beyond Neptune's orbit. They appear to be ships, big ones." Ta looked up at the Observer. "Are those your vessels approaching?" "Yes," the alien confirmed. "A standard evaluation fleet. They will determine if your species is ready for official contact or requires supervision." The word supervision sent a chill down Ta's spine. "And if we don't want supervision?" The Observer's featureless face revealed nothing. Non-compliance is not an option. Back on the bridge, Ta watched in growing horror as the main screen displayed the approaching Korten ships. There were 7 of them, each at least 10 times the size of Earth's largest dreadnought. "They'll reach us in 20 minutes at their current speed," Min reported, her voice tight with anxiety. The Observer stood nearby, seemingly unconcerned by the crew's distress. It had insisted on coming to the bridge, and Ta had reluctantly agreed, keeping 2 security officers with it at all times. "Send an urgent message to Fleet Command," Tai ordered. "Inform them of the approaching Korten vessels and request immediate instructions." "Yes, Captain," Jai replied, her fingers flying over her console. The Observer turned its featureless face toward her. "Communications will not reach your command in time. The evaluation will proceed as scheduled." Ta stepped closer to the alien. "What exactly does this evaluation entail?" "Your technological capabilities will be assessed. Your cultural and social development will be analyzed. Your threat potential will be measured." The Observer paused. "Based on these factors, the Collective will determine whether humanity requires supervision or is permitted limited independence." "Limited independence," Sun repeated incredulously. "In our own solar system. All space is Korten space," the Observer stated. "Your species resides here by our tolerance." Ta felt anger rising within him but forced it down. Losing his temper wouldn't help. "And this fold drive technology, it's important to your evaluation." "It is unexpected," the Observer admitted. "Dimensional manipulation technology typically develops only in Level 4 civilizations. Humans were categorized as Level 2. That was useful information. The Kortens had underestimated humanity, and specifically, they had underestimated the Phoenix." "Captain," Min called, her voice suddenly urgent. "I'm detecting energy buildups in the approaching vessels. They appear to be charging weapons." "Weapons?" Ta turned to the Observer. "You said this was an evaluation, not an attack." "Resistance will be met with appropriate force," the Observer replied calmly. "Your vessel activated an outpost without authorization. This is a serious violation of collective law." Tay's mind raced. They had minutes before the Korten ships arrived, and no help would come in time. The Phoenix was alone. He turned to Sun and spoke quietly. "Commander, escort our guest to the conference room. I believe we need some privacy to prepare for this evaluation." Sun nodded, understanding immediately. "Observer, please come with me. We have prepared more comfortable accommodations for you." Once the observer had been led away, escorted by 4 security officers, Todd turned to his remaining bridge crew. "Options," he demanded. Min spoke first. "The fold drive could get us back to Earth quickly, but those ships might follow. We'd be leading them straight to our homeworld. And running isn't an option anyway," Tai added grimly. "They already know about Earth. If these Cortans think they can just show up and take over our solar system." "Fight," Ji suggested, though she looked doubtful. "The Phoenix has advanced weapons, but against 7 ships that size." Ta moved to his chair and pressed a button. "Engineering, this is the captain. Chief Da, I need options. The fold drive, can we use it as a weapon?" There was a pause before Da's voice came through. "A weapon, sir? It's a propulsion system. It manipulates space itself," Ta pointed out. "What would happen if we created a fold but didn't enter it? If we aimed it at another ship?" Another pause. "I don't know, Captain. In theory, it could disrupt their structural integrity, maybe tear them apart. But the calculations would be incredibly complex, and the power requirements would drain our reserves completely." "Start working on those calculations," Tai ordered. "We may not have a choice." He turned back to the main screen. The Cortan ships were now visible as more than just dots on their sensors. They were massive angular vessels that reminded Tai of ancient Earth predators, all sharp edges and threatening silhouettes. "Captain," Je called out, her voice shaking slightly. "We're being hailed by the lead Cortan vessel." Tai straightened his uniform. On screen, the image that appeared made Ta's blood run cold. The Cortan commander was similar to the observer, but larger, with armor that seemed to be part of its body. Its featureless face reflected the Phoenix's bridge back at them. "Human vessel." The Cortan commander's voice boomed through the speakers. "You have violated collective law by activating an outpost without authorization and developing prohibited technology. Surrender your vessel for inspection or be destroyed." Ta stood tall. "This is Captain Todd Kim of the UES Phoenix. We were unaware of your outpost or your laws. We are a peaceful exploration vessel, but we will defend ourselves if attacked." A sound came from the Cortan commander that might have been laughter. "Your vessel is insignificant. It will be dissected, and your fold drive technology will be confiscated. The human species will be placed under direct supervision." "And if we refuse?" Tai asked, though he already knew the answer. "Then you will serve as an example to your species of the cost of defiance." The transmission cut off. Ta turned to his officers, who looked back at him with fear in their eyes. None of them had signed up for this. They were supposed to be on a simple patrol mission, not facing an alien invasion. "Chief Da," Ta called through the intercom. "How are those calculations coming?" "We have a theory, Captain," they replied. "If we create multiple small folds around an enemy ship rather than one large fold, we might be able to tear it apart without draining our power completely." Ta nodded. It was a desperate plan, but it was the only one they had. "All hands, battle stations," he ordered. "Helm, prepare evasive maneuvers. Weapons, stand by. Engineering, prepare the fold drive for offensive use." As his crew rushed to comply, Ta stared at the approaching Cortan ships on the main screen. The Phoenix was small, undergunned, and alone. But it had one advantage the Cortans couldn't anticipate. No one expected it to put up a fight at all. After all, who would be afraid of the warship they had all laughed at? The bridge of the Phoenix was silent as the 7 Cortan warships closed in. Each alien vessel was massive, bristling with weapons that made Earth's most advanced battleships look like toys. Captain Todd Kim watched the tactical display with calm determination. His small ship was surrounded, outgunned, and alone, but not helpless. "The observer is secure in the conference room," Commander Sun reported as he returned to the bridge. Security has been doubled, but it doesn't seem concerned. Of course not, Tai replied. It thinks this is already over. The largest Corton ship moved to position itself directly in front of the Phoenix, its weapons ports glowing with energy. Captain, Lieutenant Jihan called from communications. The lead ship is hailing us again. Ta nodded. On screen, the featureless face of the Corton commander appeared once more. Your time has expired, human. Submit or be destroyed. Ta stood up straight, his face betraying no fear. We've been discussing your proposal. Before we respond, I have a question. Has any species ever resisted Corton supervision? The alien was silent for a moment. 17 species have attempted resistance. None exist now. A chill ran through the bridge, but Tay's expression didn't change. I see. Well, then I suppose you'll have to add humans to your list. We reject your terms. The Corton commander tilted its head. You are one small vessel. You cannot win. Perhaps, Tay admitted, but we can fight. And we will. The Corton commander made a sound that might have been laughter. Your vessel is too small to be a threat. Its destruction will be quick. The transmission ended. On the tactical display, the lead Corton ship's weapons reached full power. Here they come, Sun said quietly. Tay turned to his crew. Everyone remember the plan. Min, you have the fold calculations ready. Science officer Min Lee nodded, her fingers poised over her console. Yes, Captain. First target locked. Chief Ta called through the comm. Status of the fold drive. Ready, Captain, came the reply from engineering. But I must warn you again, we have no idea what will happen. This could tear us apart too. Noted, Ta said grimly. Helm, stand by for evasive pattern Kim Alpha. On my mark. The lead Corton ship fired. A brilliant beam of energy lanced toward the Phoenix. Mark, Ta shouted. The Phoenix moved with a speed that seemed impossible for a ship of any size. The Corton beam missed by meters, slicing through empty space. They're recalibrating weapons, Min reported, studying her scanner. All 7 ships are powering up now. They expected us to be an easy target, Ta said. Let's show them how wrong they are. Min, execute fold pattern 1. Min took a deep breath and activated the sequence. Executing now. Instead of the Phoenix folding space around itself as it normally would, the fold drive created a small dimensional pocket directly in front of the lead Corton vessel. Space itself bent and twisted, creating a visible distortion. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the front section of the massive alien ship began to warp. Metal screamed as it was pulled in multiple directions at once. The distortion grew, encompassing more of the ship. It's working, Sun exclaimed. But their victory was short-lived. The Corton ship fired some kind of countermeasure, a pulse of energy that disrupted the fold. The distortion vanished. They have anti-fold technology, Min said in disbelief. They're adapting. The remaining 6 Corton ships moved to surround the Phoenix, all charging weapons. Evasive pattern Kim Beta, Tai ordered calmly. Min, prepare fold pattern 2. The Phoenix darted between 2 Corton vessels with incredible agility, avoiding their fire by meters. The small human ship spun and weaved through space like a dancer, making the alien warship seem slow and clumsy by comparison. Captain, Jeg called out urgently. I'm intercepting communications between the Corton ships. They're confused. Their targeting systems can't lock onto us. Ta smiled. The Phoenix was built for speed and maneuverability. Their weapons are designed to hit capital ships, not something as small and fast as us. Another barrage of Corton weapons fire filled space around them. This time, a glancing hit struck the Phoenix's starboard side. Hull damage on Deck 3, Sun reported as alarms blared. Automated systems are containing it. Min, now, Tide ordered. Min activated the second fold pattern. This time, instead of creating one large distortion, The fold drive generated multiple small ones around the nearest Corton ship. Space rippled and tore in a dozen places simultaneously. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Corton ship's hull buckled and twisted as different sections were pulled in different directions. Its weapons went dark. Then, with a silent flash, the massive vessel broke apart. A cheer went up on the Phoenix's bridge, quickly silenced by Tay's raised hand. "Focus. We got lucky once. They'll adapt." He was right. The remaining Corton ships spread out, adjusting their tactics. One fired a strange, pulsing field that washed over the Phoenix. "They're scanning our fold drive," Min reported, her voice rising with alarm. "They're analyzing how it works." "Chief Ta called through the comm. "Can you modify the fold signature? Make it harder for them to counter." "I can try, Captain," Day replied. "But it will take time." Time was something they didn't have. 3 Corton beams converged on the Phoenix at once. The ship shuddered violently as one found its mark. "Direct hit," Sun shouted over the blaring alarms. Power fluctuations throughout the ship. Fold drive energy levels dropping. Tug gripped his chair as the ship rocked from another near miss. "Reroute emergency power to the fold drive." "Min, prepare Pattern 3. "Captain," Min protested, "Pattern 3 hasn't been tested even in simulations. The power requirements alone could burn out our systems." "We're out of options," Tay replied grimly. "Execute Pattern 3. Min hesitated for only a second before complying. Executing Pattern 3. The Phoenix's engines glowed white-hot as the fold drive drew unprecedented levels of power. The lights on the bridge dimmed, then flickered out completely, leaving only the glow of emergency lighting and console displays. Outside, space itself seemed to shatter. Not in one place or even several, but everywhere around the Phoenix. It was as if reality had turned to glass and then cracked in 1,000 places. The effect on the Corton ships was catastrophic. Their hulls didn't just bend or break. They seemed to fold in on themselves, parts of each ship occupying the same space at the same time. Matter screamed in protest at this fundamental violation of physics. 2 Corton vessels simply vanished, pulled into fold spaces that collapsed instantly. Another 3 broke apart, their fragments scattered across normal space. The 5th managed to activate some kind of protective field, but it was badly damaged and drifting. Only the command ship remained mostly intact, though its weapons were offline. On the Phoenix, systems failed across the board. Consoles sparked and smoked. The artificial gravity flickered, causing crew members to float momentarily before crashing back to the deck. "Fold drive offline," Chief Day reported, his voice barely audible through the damaged comm system. "We've burned out most of the power conduits. It will take weeks to repair." "Weapons?" Ty asked, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. "Functional, but at reduced capacity," Sun replied, checking his console. "Life support. Operating on backup systems," Min reported. "We have about 12 hours." Ta nodded slowly. "And the Cortons?" Jai managed a small smile. 5 ships destroyed or disabled. The command vessel is damaged, but operational. They're retreating, Captain." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. They had done the impossible. The tiny, mocked warship had faced an alien fleet and won. "Captain," Sun said quietly, "what about the observer?" Ta had almost forgotten about their guest. He pressed the comm button. "Security team, status of the observer." "Still secured, Captain," came the reply. "It hasn't moved or spoken since the battle began." "Bring it to the bridge," Tide ordered. Minutes later, the Corton observer was escorted onto the bridge by 4 security officers. Its featureless face revealed nothing, but its body language seemed different, less confident, more cautious. "Your species has been reevaluated," the observer said, its voice quieter than before. The collective did not anticipate this level of resistance or technological application. "Are there more Corton ships coming?" Ta demanded. "Not immediately," the observer admitted. The fleet must analyze what happened here. Your fold weapon was unexpected. It wasn't built as a weapon, Ty explained. It was built for exploration. But we will use it to defend ourselves if threatened again. The observer was silent for a moment. I am authorized to negotiate temporary terms while the collective reassesses humanity's status. Ty exchanged glances with his officers before replying. Here are our terms. The Corton Collective will recognize Earth's sovereignty over our solar system. Any future contact will be conducted through proper diplomatic channels with equal standing. And you will share information about other species in our sector of space. These terms exceed your current status classification, the observer protested. Our status changed when we destroyed 5 of your warships, Ta pointed out. And next time, we'll be better prepared. The observer seemed to consider this. I will convey your terms to the collective. Until a formal agreement is reached, a state of non-aggression will be maintained. As the observer was escorted back to its craft, Ty turned to his exhausted crew. Send a full report to Fleet Command. They need to know what happened here and what might be coming. They'll never believe us, Sun said with a tired smile. Oh, I think they will, Tay replied, looking at the display showing the retreating Corton command ship and the debris field that had once been their fleet. The little warship they all laughed at just saved humanity. G's console beeped. Captain, incoming transmission from Admiral Song. Priority 1. Ta straightened his tattered uniform and brushed debris from his chair. On screen, Lieutenant. It's time to tell Earth that everything has changed.